Today's collection of readings are about a single subject, which is prayer. And they make 2 points. The first point is one that appears in the first reading, and is basically this idea that God hears every prayer. I think it's really important for us to understand that it is a doctrine of our church that God always hears every prayer, and God always says yes to the prayer. And I would say it's the same way with regards to parents. You know, when children ask you for things, and I'm thinking of asking for things to play with and stuff like that, as a parent, you make a judgment as to what is good for the child. And certain things children ask for, they don't get that thing, but they get an alternative. A child who comes up and asks for something or wants to play or something, the answer of the parent is yes, oftentimes with qualifications, but a yes. And I've oftentimes heard people say that, you know, when you pray to God, they say, you didn't get an answer, and the other person will say, yes, you did. He said no. Our God does not say no. It is a doctrine of our church that once you pray, that prayer is heard, and God answers that prayer with a yes, a parental yes, okay? And the second thing to understand about that is the repeating of prayers. If you repeat a prayer because it gives you more comfort to ask God again, that's really wonderful. If I'm repeating a prayer because I think he'll answer it if I say it twice, or he didn't hear it the first time, or, he was on hold or something, that's wrong. Once a prayer is said, it is heard then, period. Again, if you enjoy saying it again, by all means, okay? But it isn't for his benefit. And the second thing is how prayers are heard. You and I are very familiar with all kinds of texts in the scriptures that tell us God hears the poor, God hears the people who are in difficulties, God hears the people who have problems. And the reason why there's so much of that in the scriptures is because those people thought God didn't hear them. But did you notice the opening phrase of the first reading? God is not unduly attentive to the poor. And what this reading is supposed to remind us, there is one qualification to be heard by God in prayer. And that qualification is that you pray. That is the only necessary qualification if you want to be heard by God. God does not hear rich people more than poor people. So don't try and prove to him you're rich. God doesn't hear poor people more than rich people. You don't need to prove you're poor. He doesn't hear holy people more than sinners. So you don't need to prove you're holy. He doesn't hear sinners more than holy people. You don't need to prove you're sinners. Most of us don't even need to try that. But in the whole list of things, there is no qualification to be heard except that you're praying. And that's what you see in the illustration of the Pharisee rather than the tax collector. It's not that there's anything really wrong with the Pharisee. It's just he's trying to prove he's qualified to be heard. I'm a good man, I do this, I do that, I do the other thing. That's a waste of time. He should have spent his time praying, which is exactly what the tax collector did. So in today's readings, we learn 2 things. Number 1, if you want to be heard by God, simply talk to him. There aren't that many people doing it today. He's got time, okay? So if you want to be heard, simply talk to him. And the second thing is, if you ask for anything, the answer is yes. But it is a parental yes. A God who knows me better than I know me.